Hello. The Jewish holiday of Shavuot is upon us. Its four names shed light on its significance. First, it's called Hag HaKatzir, the Harvest Festival. Second, it's called Hag HaShavuot, the Festival of Weeks, because the Torah says, quote, there are 7 weeks from the harvesting of barley, the first to ripen, to the harvesting of wheat, the last to ripen. Some call it a week of weeks. To mark them, we count the Omer from the second day of Pesach to the day before Shavuot, the 50th day. This is called Sefirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. And Omer is a measure of grain volume, unquote. Third, it's called Hag HaBikurim, the festival of the first fruits, because the Torah says, quote, the obligation to bring first fruits to the temple begins on Shavuot and ends on Sukkot or Hanukkah. They were eaten by the priests, unquote. Finally, it's called Zeman Matan Toratenu, the time of the receiving of our Torah. God gave us the Torah 7 weeks after the Exodus from Egypt. It's customary to stay up all night on the eve of the holiday and study until dawn. This is called Tikkun Leil Shavuot. It means improvement or rectification or repair of the night of Shavuot for reasons we will discuss below. It has become more popular in recent centuries, some say due to the availability of coffee, which was introduced in Arabia in the 15th century. A standard way of studying is to recite a few verses of the Torah from the beginning and the end of the 54 Torah portions, followed by a few verses from the beginning and the end of every book of the prophets, followed by excerpts from the writings, specifically the book of Ruth in full, and Psalms 1, 19, 68, 119, and 150. Then one switches to the Mishnah, or oral law, by reading the beginning and the end of each of the 63 tractates, to Sefer Yetzirah, or Book of Creation, a Kabbalistic text some 2,000 years old. One then moves on to the Tariag, or the 613 commandments of the Torah, as enumerated by Maimonides, and to the Zohar, the book of Jewish mysticism, by reading excerpts bearing on the subject. The latter will be our focus today, the mystical aspects of Shavuot. An alternate way of studying is having the participant take turns presenting special topics. Why do we stay up all night studying? The Midrash says that when Israel was about to receive the Torah, they were sleeping, and God had to awaken them with noise and thunder. Quote, on the 3rd day, the Lord will come down in the sights of all the people. Israel slept all that night because the sleep of Shavuot is pleasant and the night is short. Rabbi Yudan said, not a flea worried them. God came and found them sleeping. So he began to rouse them with trumpets, as it is written, and on the 3rd day there was thunder and lightning. Moses roused Israel and brought them out to meet the Supreme King of Kings, the Holy One, blessed be he, as it is written, and Moses brought forth the people to meet God. Then God went before them till he reached Mount Sinai, as it is written, now Mount Sinai was all in smoke. It was for this that he taunted them through the mouth of Isaiah, saying, why, when I came, was no one there? Why, when I called, nobody answered? Unquote. Therefore, we stay up studying to make amends for our forefathers and to show how anxiously we anticipate receiving the Torah. The custom is championed by the Zohar. The Zohar was first published in 13th century Spain by Moses de Leon and ascribed to 2nd century Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Rashbi. Fearing Roman persecution, he hid in a cave for 13 years, and the prophet Elijah inspired him to write the Zohar. It became the basis of the Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, the hidden parts of the oral Torah. The Zohar states that pious people would not sleep on Erev Shavuot, as they told in Torah. Quote, when Israel drew near to Mount Sinai, that dew that descends from the supernal points came down in its fullness and purified them so that their filth left them and they became attached to the holy king and the community of Israel and received the Torah. Observe that any man who does not count those 7 complete weeks, the Omer, so as to qualify himself for purity, is not called pure and is not worthy to have a share in the Torah. But if a man has reached this day in purity and has not lost count, then he must on this night study the Torah to preserve the special purity that comes upon him that night. Therefore, the pious ones of old did not sleep on this night, but studied the Torah, saying, "Let us acquire a holy inheritance for ourselves and our sons in 2 worlds." On that night, the community of Israel is crowned above them and comes to intimately join with the king, and both are crowned above the heads of those who are worthy of this, unquote. Let us now ask 3 questions. First, why is counting the Omer important? One reason is that an agricultural society emphasizes harvest and therefore counts the days of heavy work. Second, counting days represent anticipation of the time of the giving of the Torah. Indeed, the Midrash says that at the time of the Exodus, Moses announced that 50 days later, they would celebrate a religious ceremony at Mount Sinai. The Israelites were very excited and started counting the days. The Zohar adds, quote, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and all of his friends stayed up that night, and each of them renewed the Torah again and again. Rabbi Shimon was joyous, and so were his friends. Rabbi Shimon said to them, "My sons, how blessed is your lot, because it is you who shall accompany the bride tomorrow to the Huppah. For all those who rejoice in her, this night shall have their names recorded in the book of remembrance. And the Creator shall bless them with 70 blessings and adornments of crowns of the upper world," unquote. So the Zohar interprets this time between Pesach and Shavuot as the days when the bridegroom Israel was courting his bride, the Torah. The events at Mount Sinai were a wedding between the Jewish people and the Torah. If a day of counting is missed, one cannot say the blessing, because the Torah says, quote, "You shall count 7 complete weeks." So if a day of counting is missed, the process is not complete, and the blessing would be in vain. But one must still count the days, only without the blessing. The Zohar teaches that a new heaven and a new earth are created with each new interpretation of the Torah. Quote, "How important it is for a person to study laboriously the Torah day and night, because the Holy One, blessed be He, listens carefully to those who occupy themselves with the Torah. And when they come up with a fresh interpretation in the Torah, it creates a new heaven." The moment when someone presents a novel interpretation of the Torah, his utterance ascends before the Holy One, blessed be He, who takes it up, kisses it, and adorns it with 70 crowns of graven and inscribed letters. It then ascends and rests on the head of the righteous one who lives forever, that is God. Then it flies off and floats through 70,000 worlds until it reaches Atik Yomin. Atik Yomin means Ancient of Days, a name for God used in the book of Daniel. It means that God is eternal and perfect. Continuing, and all the words of Atik Yomin are words of wisdom comprising sublime and hidden mysteries. And when this hidden wisdom, which is renewed here in this world, ascends, she joins Atik, ascends and descends, enters the 18 mystical worlds about which we read in Isaiah, "No eye has seen beside you, O God." They emerge from there and appear before Atik, complete and perfect. Meanwhile, Atik tests her and finds her most desirable above all else. He then takes her and adorns her with 370,000 ornaments. And she, the renewed Torah, ascends and descends and is transformed into a sky. And so each word of wisdom is made into a sky which presents itself fully formed before the Ancient of Days, who calls them new heavens, that is, heavens created out of the mystical ideas of the sublime wisdom. Continuing, other new interpretations of the Torah present themselves before the Holy One, blessed be He, ascend and become lands of life, then descend and become absorbed into one land whereby a new land emerges through that new discovery in the Torah. This is implied in the verse in Isaiah, "For as the new heavens and the new earth which I am making rise up before me." It is not written, "I have made" in the past tense, but "I am making" in the present tense, meaning they are continually created out of the new ideas discovered in the Torah. The Zohar continues, "Further, it is written in Isaiah, 'And I have put my words in your mouth, and I have covered you with the shadow of my hands, to plant a heaven and to lay the foundations of an earth.'" It does not say the heaven, but a heaven in the singular. Rabbi Elazar said, "What is the meaning of 'I have covered you with the shadow of my hands'?" He replied, "When the Torah was delivered to Moses, there appeared myriads of heavenly angels ready to consume him with their fiery breath, but the Holy One, blessed be he, sheltered him. Similarly, now when the new interpretation ascends and is crowned and presents itself before the Holy One, blessed be he covers and protects it, and also shelters its author, so that the angel should not become aware of him and be filled with jealousy, until the interpretation is transformed into a new heaven and a new earth." End of quote. Let's move on to the second question. Why were the angels ready to kill Moses for bringing the Torah to Israel? Angels are dependent beings with no free will. They are God's messengers, programmed for specific missions. How can they disagree with God and be jealous, as the Zohar says? Yet the Talmud confirms this. Quote, "When Moses ascended on high to receive the Torah, the ministering angel said before the Holy One, blessed be he, 'Master of the universe, what is a human being doing here among us?' The Holy One, blessed be he, said to them, 'He came to receive the Torah.' The angel said before him, 'The Torah is a hidden treasure that was concealed by you 974 generations before the creation of the worlds, and you seek to give it to flesh and blood? As it is stated in Psalms, the Torah is the word which God commanded to 1,000 generations. Since the Torah, the word of God, was given to the 26th generation after Adam, the first man, the remaining 974 generation must have preceded the creation of the worlds. It says in Psalms, 'What is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you think of him?' Rather, in Psalms, God our Lord, how glorious is your name in all the earth, that your majesty is placed above the heavens. The rightful place of your majesty, the Torah, is the heavens." Talmud continues, "The Holy One, blessed be he, told Moses, 'Answer them.' Moses replied, 'Master of the universe, I'm afraid they will consume me with their fiery breath in their mouths.' God said to Moses, 'Hold on to the throne of glory for protection and answer them.' Moses said to the angels, 'I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Did you go down to Egypt? Were you enslaved to Pharaoh? You shall have no other gods. Do you live among idolaters? Remember Shabbat to keep it holy. Do you work that you need to rest? You shall not swear falsely. Do you engage in business? Honor your father and your mother. Do you have fathers and mothers? You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. Is there jealousy among you? Do you have an evil inclination to tempt you?" Immediately the angels conceded, and each one was moved to befriend Moses and transmit something to him. Even the angel of death confided the secret to him, unquote. So evidently, Moses hit the nail on the head. His point was, you angels are already perfect. You live in an environment where you cannot possibly transgress anything. You have no merit because you cannot possibly choose to do wrong. But we humans are the ones who earn merit because we live in an environment where we have to fight off many temptations. Rabbi Yaakov Abu Hatzera, 19th century Moroccan sage and mystic, asks, what were the angels thinking? Surely they knew that the Torah is made up of practical mitzvot, not applicable to angels. The answer is that the angels wanted to divide the Torah in two, with the practical part given to man and the mystical part remaining with the angels. But no, the two parts belong together. Just as the human body clothes the soul, So the practical side of the Torah clothes the mystical side. And just as the soul needs the body in order to function, so the mystical part of the Torah needs the practical side. In other words, this world and the next are to be considered a single unit. But my preferred explanation is what a correspondent told me his rabbi taught him. Here's the story. A rabbi in a large community wanted to retire in a small community. On the day of his move, the small community sent a delegation to escort him. The delegates were greeted by a large demonstration by the entire large community, shouting, crying, and objecting. They did not want their beloved rabbi to leave them. The president of the large community took the rabbi aside and told him the demonstration was staged so that the people of the small community would appreciate what they were getting. Likewise, the angels and God staged their actions so the Israelites would appreciate the Torah they were getting and see Moses have to fight in order to be allowed to take it. The Zohar continues by teaching that we are God's partners in creation. Quote, from this we learn that each word in the Torah whose purpose is not obvious contains some lesson of special value. As it is written, I have covered you with the shadow of my hands. Why is it covered and hidden from our view? For an ulterior purpose, to wit, to plant a heaven and to lay the foundation of an earth, as already explained. The verse continues, and to say to Zion, Ami ata, you are my people. The word Ami, my people, should be read immi, with me, meaning to collaborate with me. For just as I made heaven and earth by words, as it says in Psalms, by the word of the Lord the heavens were made, so shall you make new heavens and earths. Happy are those who devote themselves to the study of Torah. Unquote. Hasidism reinforced this notion. Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk said, why was man created? To perfect his soul? No, to lift up the heavens. The Midrash notes clear verbal parallels between the creation of the worlds and the building of the tabernacle, the Mishkan. Here are the first two of 11. On the first day, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And it says in Psalms, God who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. And regarding the Mishkan, what does it say? And you shall make curtains of goats for a tent over the tabernacle. So there's a curtain in both places. On the second day, let there be a firmament. And it mentions division. As it is said, and let it divide the water from water. And regarding the Mishkan, it says, and the veil shall divide for you between the holy and the holy of holies. A division in both places. Okay, now it's time for me to put on my second hat, that of a physicist. Quantum mechanics tells us that there's a built-in randomness in the world, a fundamental uncertainty that can never be resolved by more accurate measurements. There is no reality, only probabilities, and the observer creates reality by the act of observation. This means that we are, in a very real sense, God's partners in creation. But we are free agents and have much leeway in creating facts. Could it be that every time we witness or create a new fact, we're not merely making history, but also modifying the very fabric of the universe, creating the very laws that rule our universe in partnership with the Almighty? Food for thought. Our third question is, does that mean we are free to interpret the Torah as we wish? The answer is no, as the Zohar continues, quote, you should not think, however, that all this applies even to one who is not a true scholar. Not so. When one who is a stranger to the mysteries of the Torah makes pseudo-discoveries based on an incomplete understanding, that interpretation arises and is met by the perverse one, the demon of the lying tongue, who emerges from the cavern of the great abyss and makes a leap of 500 parasangs to receive that interpretation. A parasang is about 3 miles. He takes it and returns with it to his cavern and shapes it into a false heaven called Tohu, chaos. That demon then traverses in one swoop the whole of that heaven, a space of 6,000 parasangs. As soon as that heaven is formed, the harlot emerges and lodges herself in it and joins forces with it. And springing from it, she slays thousands and tens of thousands. For as long as she is lodged in that heaven, she has authority and power to swoop through the world in the twinkling of an eye. This is implied in the words of Isaiah, "Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity and sins, as it were with a cart rope." The word for iniquity, avon, being masculine, designates the demon. And the word for sin, hata'ah, being feminine, means the female, the harlot who rushes to slaughter the sons of men. Concerning her, we also read in Proverbs, "For she has caused many deadly wounded to fall." And the ultimate cause is the unripe scholar who is not qualified to teach and yet does so. May God save us from him. The Zohar continues, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said to his colleagues, "I beseech you not to let fall from your mouth any word of the Torah of which you are not certain, and which you have not learned correctly from a great tree, so that you may not be the cause of that harlot slaying multitudes of the sons of men." And they answered in unison, "God forbid, God forbid." Unquote. So, does this mean one should be perfectly learned and well taught to be allowed to utter any new interpretation of Torah? No, but he should bounce his ideas off of someone who is, to see how they compare with the tradition. The Zohar teaches that the Torah is the blueprint of the world. Rabbi Shimon proceeded, "See now, it was by means of the Torah that the Holy One created the world. He looked at the Torah once, twice, a third, and a fourth time. He uttered the words composing her and then operated through her. That is a lesson for men, how to study the Torah properly. This lesson is indicated in the verse in Job, 'Then he did see and declare it, he established it, yea, and searched it out.' Seeing, declaring, establishing, and searching out correspond to these four operations which the Holy One, blessed be he, went through before entering on the work of creation. Hence, the account of the creation begins with the four words, Bereshit bara Elokim et, in the beginning created God the, before mentioning the heavens, thus signifying that the four times which the Holy One, blessed be he, looked in the Torah before he performed his work." Unquote. The Midrash echoes this. It says simply, God looked into the Torah and created the worlds. These are some of the mystical aspects of the holiday of Shavuot to be considered, discussed, and debated in a long night of study. Chag Shavuot Sameach.